It's all talk, no might. Making all the fuss while you sleep at night. Be like lightning, taking quick action at the speed of light. Solving all your issues before they can even blink the eye. Thunder, it's all talk, no might. Making all the fuss while you sleep at night. Be like lightning, taking quick action at the speed of light. Solving all your issues before they can even blink the eye. Another analogy for self-mastery, from the philosophy of the Sifuji. Work on yourself to take the initiative. Do not live in fear, dangers everywhere can be sensitive. Take it upon yourself, trust in God, cause He got you. There's problems with bravery even when you don't want to. Gotta live righteous, gotta practice how to be strong. You gotta act fast before your issues are prolonged. Like lightning, you gotta strike when people least expect it. Act to do the right thing even when there's no incentive. Carry out your will with honor, acting with respect. I tell you to take action only with a good intent. Do not wait until it's too late to talk until you're tired. If you work the job, you would work hard to not get fired. It's the same thing in real life, you gotta act before it takes you over. Practice how to work so your hard work pays off when you get older. Thunder, it's all talk, no might. Making all the fuss while you sleep at night. Be like lightning, taking quick action at the speed of light. Solving all your issues before they can even blink the eye. Thunder, it's all talk, no might. Making all the fuss while you sleep at night. Be like lightning, taking quick action at the speed of light. Solving all your issues before they can even blink the eye. Thunder may frighten when you see lightning, it's too late. In crisis live like lightning, cause loud words are just a waste. Lightning's never heard, it's only seen or ever felt. And whatever touches lightning is guaranteed just to melt. Lightning is a force you need to study and to replicate. Implement it in your life and practice almost every day. Take action, do not talk, just walk the walk, don't talk the talk. Do it fast before the time is done ticking up on the clock. The more you spit your nonsense, then the more that you're in danger. Why be the victim at a time that you're in danger? Step it up, defend yourself, and act before you speak. Sometimes when you don't talk, then they'll assume that you are weak. But that's when you surprise in the blink of an eye. Like lightning, be a force that doesn't go without a fight. The effort spent talking is a waste all the time. Take initiative and make the most out of your life. Thunder, it's all talk, no might. Making all the fuss while you sleep at night. Be like lightning, taking quick action at the speed of light. Solving all your issues before they can even blink the eye. Thunder, it's all talk, no might. Making all the fuss while you sleep at night. Be like lightning, taking quick action at the speed of light. Solving all your issues before they can even blink the eye. One may think foolishly that words can give them traction. That's all untrue, cause true power lies in action. Loud words might be frightening, but try to live like lightning. If you practice doing that, then life will be exciting. It's a wonder that is considered the norm to mindlessly refer to them as thunderstorms. But be informed that the only right thing is to live and to learn from true lightning. Take it from a real OG like me. I've been through a lot that y'all didn't see. They call me Fuji, and there's a lot that I have learned, a lot that I have gone through, a lot that I have earned. What you're going through right now is just a fraction of life, so don't be afraid to ever take action. Be as confident as you can be, don't be like thunder. Be like lightning so that you never go under.
I'd love to speak about sort of how you ended up being at they call the monastery in Germany. What's the name for the monastery that you're at?
It's the Shaolin Temple Europe.
Temple Europe. Exactly. So how did you? So where were you born? Childhood, and what was that childhood like?
So I think it's really important when you grow up that you have also some type of idols or some people that you are looking up to. And so that means when I grew up, the first type of movies that I was, let's say, introduced to or loved to watch were mainly martial art movies. And that also meant that for me, growing up here in Germany, I saw all different types of the 36 chambers of Shaolin and all different movies about the famous Shaolin Temple. And therefore, it already caught my interest very, very early. So martial arts was something interesting for me. And this simply fit together with the way of how my father was thinking that time, that he wanted me to start practicing with the age of 4, to just join a Shaolin school nearby here in Kaiserslautern, Germany, where I just start my practice. And yes, to make it really simple, I stayed with whatever I started with, and never really gave up on falling into different directions. So in a way it was normal that there came some hard times where I really wanted to give up and didn't follow up anymore on the martial arts side, but my father in that sense never gave me a choice to even consider of quitting something that I started so early in age. And that means for me that I just spent most of the times. I went to school here in Germany. After school I went to the training. After training I was sleeping and eating the normal things. But then it was really simple, my life, in terms of I had the school, I had the training, and I had the other things needed to just live. But that was it. That was the time that I spent in learning more about martial arts, practicing, training, and also already starting to dive into the theoretical knowledge that lies behind all of this. In the very beginning, also for me, I have to say that every time I watched the Shaolin movies and every time something about Shaolin came onto my mind, in the first place I was always limiting it in a way to the physical aspects and meaning to the physical abilities of these people, of these persons who are practicing the Shaolin arts. But now after 34 years, it's, how can I say, it is a very important aspect, the physical training. But there will come the time when you simply have to realize that it's impossible to keep up this physicality on the long run. No matter how much performance you can deliver at this very moment. But just due to the simple facts of we are getting old, we are having more restrictions inside our body, it's impossible to keep up that performance on the long term. So therefore, it becomes very relevant that there are other aspects about the human, about yourself. There are other aspects about the human, about yourself, which is more sustainable and that you can keep up for a much longer time. And this is something that in the beginning you don't pay attention to so much because it's not interesting for you. Because we are normally, when we are growing up, we are very outwards driven. We are very competitive also. So that means for me it was also very normal. I became better because I compared myself with others. I saw how others were doing their performance. I saw how skillful other people were. And that's why I looked up to them in the beginning and tried to ask myself, okay, they can do it. How can I try and get to that point as well? And so that means competition, and that competitive mind in the very beginning was an important aspect, trying to get the best version out of you. But meanwhile, things just have shifted a little bit, and the purpose right now why I'm training, why I'm still pushing myself, now it has shifted that I don't have the competitive mind in comparison to somebody else, but now it's really to myself only. And that means that it's endless in a way. It becomes endless this path of how much you can grow, because you simply just take yourself as that one person that you try to improve. And at the same time, because now it's yourself that you are taking as this idol and as the best version comparison, this also means you have a much deeper insight into the person that you're comparing yourself with. Because before, you saw the physical abilities and you saw the skills of another person, but sometimes you didn't see their character.
I have to reform the Ninja Empire.
But now, because it is yourself that you are facing with, now you can dive much deeper into what you are actually made out of. And then it comes to certain points that nowadays we know them as the virtues of the martial arts, or the so-called Wude, the virtues of martial arts. And sometimes you find that there are 10 different virtues, sometimes you find that there are 14, and it really depends on how deep you go into this type of thinking. But what are these virtues? And I think this is something that nowadays I really think it is something that can benefit quite a lot of people. And to just put it in short terms, if nowadays you grow up somewhere in Western Europe or in the Western countries, you go to school and what you are being taught in school has a lot to do about learning something about a subject. So that means you learn about biology, you learn about chemistry, you learn about mathematics, you learn a certain topic, a certain subject. But now, there are some people who are much quicker in grasping the essence of any subject. There are people that are very straightforward and that can be very concentrated, focused and disciplined when it comes to just studying page after page. Other people, maybe they come home from school and the first thing is they cannot sit down and learn. They need to go out first and do other activities with friends. So they are quite different characters that afterwards have to deal with the fact of learning to study right now. And now the same applies for the martial arts. It's like you see your instructor, you see your teacher, he's demonstrating something to you. But now some people have a very quick understanding of the mind and have a very quick coordination abilities of the mind. And other people, they don't understand very good with the mind, but maybe they can apply it very quickly. So that means there is also something else about us humans that on some people is developed and on other people it is not developed yet. And these things are, for example, discipline. So I don't think that it is a coincidence if somebody is a disciplined person and another person does not have this or doesn't express this type of discipline. It doesn't mean he doesn't have it. It's just that he expresses it maybe in a different way. When it comes to the Shaolin teachings, we also have something like loyalty. And now, yes, especially in these times, I think it's really good if you can have a handful of people around you where you know, no matter what happens,
Go on. I'll handle this.
No, you go.
with the restrictions, without the restrictions, with the pandemic, without the pandemic, if you have money, if you are successful, if you are not successful, if you're healthy or if you're sick.
Master. Yes, Afro. There is something I would like to know. Afro. Are you really number 2?
Regardless of the circumstances, you know that there are still those few people that will always circle around your life. And in a way, what does it mean if you have something so reliable, so loyal into your life? It means that there is something stable about you. There is something that you can rely on in your lifetime. And this is the fact, and this is the reason why such an important virtue such as loyalty is really, really important when it comes to building something up in your lifetime which is stable.
I took this job because I thought you were just a legend. Just a story. A story to scare little kids.
And in many different ways, I think this stability is what you could witness in many different areas when the start of the pandemic came. Yeah, the biggest problem was that something unexpected happened, something unexpected occurred that took the balance off and took the stability off from many, many people. Yeah? Because we humans like stability. Yeah? To be stable, to be balanced. That means, also now talking from the martial arts, when you start your training, no matter what type of system it is, the first things you normally learn in the martial arts is the proper way of standing, which means the proper way of aligning your body on the earth. Because we say if you cannot stand firmly, no matter what type of techniques and applications you're trying to do afterwards, they can only be as good as your foundation is. And this foundation means for us stability of the body, stability of the legs. But now trying to translate this into the modern way of living a life, I mean, it's very, very similar. You can start off easily nowadays to try and become famous very quickly, try to build up a very high level lifestyle. But the question ultimately is, all these things, one day they will reach their peak and they will vanish again. And then the question remains, what is the foundation that is going to hold you up? Because sometimes living a fast way up also means it's going to be a fast way down. That's why very often we say, just look outside the tree. It does not happen in the whole universe that you are planting this tree on one day and 1 week after you have that huge tree standing in front of you. It's just not happening in this world. And especially here in Germany, we have the oak trees, which are very famous for their density and for their strength also to withstand all types of different winds and storms. Yes, But at the same time, if you just watch how long such an oak tree needs to grow, then you also understand why he has that type of stability. Because he had plenty of time building his roots into the ground. Yeah, and the roots, in a way, why do you need them? Because they are connecting you with the earth, which is providing you with all the nutrition that afterwards your stem, the crown, and all the fruits afterwards need for nourishment. And in the same way now, again, translating it to us when we start to try and develop martial skills or any other skills. It doesn't matter if it's a martial skill. Any other skill that you can develop in this world. Any skill must be nourished over and over again. And this is why there is the saying, for example, the real skill, the Kung Fu, what we call Kung Fu. Yeah, it's a skill attained by investing a lot of effort. And the only way in order to express this is by repetitive structure, repetitive movements. And therefore is the saying, perfection comes from repetition. Because this is also why somebody becomes so good in filming, making very nice video shots, very nice footage. Why? How come? I'm sure he very often had his camera in his hands. Yeah? Other people working with wood. He must work with wood in order to become a good woodworker. Somebody who is practicing or is in the martial art field, his lifetime, his 24-hour day must be filled with martial art way of life. So, in order to know in what is a person good in, you just need to look at the 24-hour day, at the 7 days a week, at every month, and at the last 2-3 years. And then you can very much tell already what type of skills a person, for example, can develop or has developed. And in a way I understand also that nowadays, especially when it comes to Shaolin Temple, in the combination with the Buddhism, which is the fundamental philosophy or way of thinking embedded in the Shaolin Temple, sometimes it happens that
life of honor, integrity, trustworthiness, and wisdom. You gotta be a student to master the art and listen. Don't be a victim, be the hero of your story. Grew up in the hood, but now I'm living in my glory. Feed your fire, make it grow, just like water, you should flow. Inside out, achieve the glow, living pure as white as snow. Bruce Lee was my obsession, now I'm obsessed with the art. Acquired knowledge, read the Bible, and I did it with my heart. I had passion, I had patience, and they brought me all this way. I was 4 and now I'm 49, I never waste a day. Used to fill up my notepads with observations and things. Now my program's filling up and I'm fulfilling my dreams. Mentally, physically, spiritually, gotta be strong. You gotta learn to persevere and have the heart to hang on. No better time to change your life than now, no time to hang on. Help yourself to do your best, you're a hero with no cape on. Shoot high, read dough, mastery under the kingdom of heaven. I'm teaching, think, feel, and do the dough. Imitation, creation, perfection, yeah, that's all we know. Shoot high, read dough, mastery under the kingdom of heaven. I'm teaching, think, feel, and do the dough. Imitation, creation, perfection, yeah, that's all we know. The burst of light that represents my mind and thoughts. The mentality to know that I can do all that I want. The flame that shows emotion, spirit, and passion. The water is the flow, there's purpose in all of my actions. Shuharito is a symbol of how you gotta live. The 3 stages of the martial arts and what you gotta give. First is imitation, learning from your observation. Second is creation of your style, use imagination. Third is about perfection, like how fire purifies. Personal development, you gotta try and try. There really is no shortcuts, you're in it for the long run. You might feel the heat like when you're sitting in the sauna, but when you walk out, you'll feel better than before. And when you see positive change, then you'll be wanting even more. Martial arts ain't just about punching or how you throw a kick. It's a way to be yourself and to work on how you live. Shuharito, mastery under the kingdom of heaven. I'm teaching, think, feel, and do the dough. Imitation, creation, perfection, yeah, that's all we know. Shuharito, mastery under the kingdom of heaven. I'm teaching, think, feel, and do the dough. Imitation, creation, perfection, yeah, that's all we know. Flex, fist, boxing, that's what I teach the most. It's the best technique, there ain't nothing that can close. I spent decades on decades just perfecting my craft. I'ma live by Shuharito till I'm breathing my last. To think it started at a drive-in movie, a 4-year-old just looking up to Bruce Lee. Sparking off my passion, started checking out these books, and I found out I could do things that I never knew I could. From 19 to 25, I was filling up my brain. Then in 1998, the time finally came. I gave birth to Shuharito, I didn't plan it at all. Thanks to martial arts, I went up instead of taking a fall. The odds were all against me, my life was full of challenge. If I can do it, you can do it too, cause it can happen. Do not be a victim, cause I know that we can help it. Spiritually strong and know that problems can be dealt with. Shuharito, mastery under the kingdom of heaven. I'm teaching, think, feel, and do the dough. Imitation, creation, perfection, yeah, that's all we know. Shuharito, mastery under the kingdom of heaven. I'm teaching, think, feel, and do the dough. Imitation, creation, perfection, yeah, that's all we know.
Sometimes it happens that it moves in such a very weak direction, or let's say not weak, in a soft direction, in terms of it's all about compassion, it's about love, it's about uniting, it's about understanding others, it's about acceptance, not living too much in extremes, which certainly is very true. These are really, really valuable teachings when the time has come to understand them. But nevertheless, today we are famous, and today we are very proud of the Shaolin warrior monks. But why are we always keeping up that word warrior monks? Because they are expressing something. They are expressing something which, when you can feel it, you feel it's something very special to have nowadays. And I used to explain it a little bit like this, that now, 21st century, there is this word, it's zeitgeist. It's the spirit of the time, the spirit of the 21st century. And now everybody has this feeling of, okay, what is the zeitgeist actually right now in our times here? And now if you imagine just for a moment that you would be in possession of the power in order to add something to this spirit, or to take something out from the spirit, which means you are able to contribute to that global spirit. The question now is, what type of a spirit would you then integrate into nowadays times?
Over the ages, artists have had to visualize angels, and in doing so, they have affected the way we see angels forever. But the greatest trend in artistic depictions, be it in stained glass, paintings, or statues, is to humanize them. This has raised a whole host of issues and questions.
The Hebrew Bible usually describes angels as men when they appear on earth, so they don't usually have wings. But we find that when they're shown in art from the 4th century onwards, that this starts to change. This is of course the time that the Roman state adopts Christianity.
And from my side, and why I keep the Shaolin teachings and why I keep sharing all of these knowledge and treasures out to the world right now, is because I think that type of spirit to not give up when the times are getting hard. It's not just the Shaolin who are living this type of spirit, but they also possess it. Because this is what makes the difference between someone that we call a warrior and maybe another person, somebody that we call who succeeds and somebody you maybe call today a loser. The difference is both are going to come to the point where they are facing the challenge and when they are maybe facing also their defeat for the first time. The only difference is that the warrior keeps going. And somebody who does not have enough courage, who does not have enough discipline, who does not have willpower, maybe he just does not have the power anymore to keep on going and going and going after he failed so many times. But because of these failures, because there is something inside of you which feels that you don't want to fail the 4th and 5th and 6th time anymore. Because of this, something else inside of you starts to become very, very strong. And once again, and then you only need to keep repeating and going. Repeating and going. Don't lose sight. Don't lose sight. Be open of what the future brings. Yeah. On the one side, it's also very important to not have too much fixed goals in your own life. So that means don't make too concrete pictures in the mind of how the future should look like. The goals, I think, you cannot, you do not have, let's say, impact on the goal itself. But what all of life's purpose, all of the 24 hours day you do have, is that you can shape the direction of where those goals are going to appear. So it is the direction in a way that we are shaping. Yeah? And therefore I think there are many different ways how to express all of these things, and the Shaolin way and to start with the martial arts is one very, very easy way, because in the beginning you do not need to care about anything, how to live your life, how to master your life, how to make these things. First of all, it's about feel good. Wake up without having any part of your body which is like disturbing you to live a normal day. It starts really with the simple things. At the same time, let's say you want to go with some friends on a visit in another country just to make some adventure and to explore a different country. And now there are some people that say, yes, but to really explore another country, we need to discover, we need to walk. Yeah? We need to do things, we need to be active. We cannot sit in the hotel room and just watch television. Then what do we have from the country? So to discover, to explore, to make something from your journey means you need to walk. We need to be active. But now the question is, when you look at your 24-hour day, how much of this 24-hour day is it active, and how much of it is it like waiting, sitting and passively observing? So we need both of them, but when it comes to exploring, we need activity. And this is also something that with integrated training, and it only can be 1 hour per day in the beginning, 1.5, then in the evening again. This gives us structure. This gives us structure and tells our body, look, in the morning you wake up, energy raise up, be active, prepare yourself to do activity, start walking, start meeting people, start doing the things that cost you energy.
In female robes with wings. So as art develops, you tend to find that you've got the male form but wearing a sort of feminine beautiful robe and with wings, so there's a sort of increasing
necessary to create
of the angel.
Yeah. But at the same time, after we learn to actively do things, now if you do this too much, meaning investing energy, this sometimes is very similar, like you are just taking the charge out of the battery. So you're just using the phone all the time, but you have no time to plug it into the charger, which will also mean that later on battery is gonna be dead. Battery is gonna be dead, system is not going to function anymore. So that means it is also important right now to have something in your life where you really feel this is something that regenerates me. This gives me regeneration. It's not important how many hours we are lying horizontally in the bed. The important part is how many minutes or hours of this lying part are you regenerating. So it is about investing. What makes my body regenerate better, for example in the night? And there comes simple things, which is like, don't eat too much right before you go to bed, because that simply means that your digestive system is going to be active. But regeneration means that your energy creation, that the amount of energy that you are replenishing, that this is higher than your energy output, then this is called regeneration. But if, let's say, you are putting your phone onto the charger, but at the same time you're still having all the apps on, it can still happen that even though it was on the charger, but it's still not charging because your output is still too high. So, and this is a very simple way of how we are regarding also the facts about ourselves when we talk about what is this with the energy the Shaolin talk about. It's just this simple understanding in the beginning to balance things out. If you want to train hard, at the same time it means you must be able to find a way, regenerate more quickly, watch your diet, what are you eating, what are you drinking, how much are you sleeping, how vital do you feel. And the more vital you feel, the higher those areas can become where you are actively creating something. And to create something, I think, yes, this is maybe what all humans somehow would like to do. To create a life everyone personally really enjoys to live. But in order to do this, you cannot do it without proper methods. You cannot do it without proper preparation. And you also cannot do it without the proper character traits that can support you very, very much when it comes to such an approach.
It's so much to go through, so thank you for that. I think one thing that sticks out, and I think it will stick out to our viewers, is the Shaolin warrior. Is that something that can be applied to our normal life? Like somebody who's not practicing in a Shaolin temple, like can that Shaolin warrior sort of mindset and mentality be used?
We can try in the beginning to remove ourselves a little bit from the wording, because I think everybody who hears the word warrior, he will already have something in the mind what he is considering a warrior to be. But let's take another example that I think many people nowadays are somehow looking up to. We can take any successful person nowadays. So I think everybody can find someone who is successful in something. I don't think that this person reached his success or reached his position where he is at the moment without having some guiding principles in his lifetime. And one of them certainly is structure. So that means any successful person nowadays, I don't think he reached that point by just doing what he wants during the day. Maybe right now he's in the position that he can do what he wants, but how he got there is not by doing what he wanted. He put himself a structure, he put himself a guideline, and no matter how he felt during that day, this was the code, this was the mission, and this is what he kept. If you feel tired or not.
It's one that we learned about as interpersonal spaces, the 24-inch gauge. I'm going to give you a paragraph from the Louisiana Masonic Monitor. If you're from another jurisdiction, this short section may vary slightly in the wording, but the meaning will be the same. The 24-inch gauge is an implement used by the operative Masons to measure and lay out their work, but we, as free and accepted Masons, are taught to use it for the more noble and glorious purpose of dividing our time. It being divided into 24 equal parts is emblematic of the 24 hours of the day, which we are taught to divide into 3 equal parts, whereby are found 8 hours for the service of God and a distress-worthy brother, 8 hours for our usual vocations, and 8 hours for refreshment and sleep.
He put himself a structure, he put himself a guideline, and no matter how he felt during that day, this was the code, this was the mission, and this is what he kept. If you feel tired or not. He put himself a structure, he put himself a guideline, and no matter how he felt during that day, this was the code, this was the mission, and this is what he kept. If you feel tired or not.
So let's stop for a minute and think about what's being said here. If we break it down, then we can see that the 24-inch gauge is a symbol for time management. We use it to remind us of how we can best spend our time during any day. But is this particular division of time really workable in today's society? We are told that our 24-hour day should be divided with 8 hours being devoted to the service of God or a distressed Mason, and then another 8 hours for a job, and then the final 8 hours for sleep, or maybe sleep and eating. What about our family? Where do they fit in? What if we are required by economics to work more than 8 hours a day? Is this a realistic division of our time?
He put himself a structure, he put himself a guideline, and no matter how he felt during that day. This was the code, this was the mission, and this is what he kept. If you feel tired or not. Yeah, if you are in the mood to do it or not. You had your structure and you kept it. So that also means at the same time, some people have the structure, it's written down. But then they still say, oh, okay, but yesterday I actually really worked hard enough. I think today I can really allow myself to rest. Okay, for some people it's working, but other people are still having this willpower and that discipline that say, it's a 1 week plan, the week is not over yet, so we still keep going. And this is also a topic that you can compare now. So what does this structure, so what do you want to say with that? Even so that we're in the 21st century and the possibilities of doing and exploring this world are so huge, it doesn't mean that you should freely do what you want at all times. This is not the way of how in the monastery, in the Shaolin temple, we are regarding it as a healthy way of growing. And that means here, when you are in the temple, we simply have a schedule. The schedule is 6 o'clock is the working time, 6 a.m. starts the day. First of all, we take care of our animals. Afterwards, at 7 o'clock, we are preparing food for ourselves. At 8 o'clock, we are having the morning meditation. At 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock, we have the first training session. 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock is the working time for the monastery. Then 1 o'clock is lunch. Afterwards, it's a short break time until 3 o'clock. From 3 until 5 o'clock, it's another training session. Then follows 5 until 6, 1 hour of working time again. 6 o'clock dinner. 7 until 9, evening training. 9 o'clock is the evening ceremony. And this is how the day ends. 6 days a week. That means inside this daily structure, number one, there is no place for your own wishes, what you would like to do. So that means on the one side, yeah, but how come you are living, we are living right now in the 21st century, and the way how you are describing right now this way of life, it really sounds like a prison to me, because you have no freedom of expressing what you want. Yes, it's correct like this, because just imagine for a moment you would live a life based on what you want. Then it would look like this. Yesterday evening, because we went out with our friends and stayed awake until 2 o'clock in the morning. Even if today at 7 o'clock I have to be at work, but I don't feel like being at work because I drank too much. So okay, so I'm just gonna rest at home, and who cares about my obligations at work? He needs to find a way, he can search for another person. So then you wake up, and because you're hungry, you directly run to the fridge. At 9 o'clock, open the fridge. Okay, nothing is in there. So first of all, order a pizza at 10 o'clock in the morning again. Then because the pizza, you didn't finish everything, at 1 o'clock you're hungry again. So you run to the fridge and just grab something out of there. Yeah. In the monastery, there are strict eating times. If you're hungry in between, you wait. You don't run every time to the fridge when you feel like running to the fridge. So, but now let's go extended. Actually, you are in a relationship, but then you go with your friends into the city and it's a very nice weather and there are many other beautiful people running around in the city. And because you think, oh, I'm in a free world, we're in the 21st century, I can do what I want. Well, and this is why you're cheating on your partner. And maybe you can feel already in which direction this is going. We don't think the human is going to develop in a proper direction when he is just following what he thinks he wants to do. This is not the type of freedom that is helpful for yourself, and it's also not helpful for the people that are afterwards dealing with you. Because this type of freedom, you think it's the freedom of the mind. You think that everything the mind tells you, I need to follow. That means freedom. No, for us it's the other way around. To learn and not follow what the mind tells you. This is the first step towards freedom. Because during the 24-hour day, your mind tells you so many different things. Your mind tells you, you should do this right now. You just had an argument with another person. The mind tells you, hey, don't take the words just like this. He just insulted me. I need to insult him back. Yeah, I need to show him who the boss is. Yeah? Or anything like this. The mind gives you during the day so many different instructions. But not all these instructions are helpful. Because these are instructions which came from conditioning of the past. They come from how you were conditioned by your parents, conditioned by the teachers, conditioned by the government, conditioned by the politics, conditioned by the advertisement, conditioned by everything that nowadays has an impact on the way how we see the world. And to sometimes take a step back, and this is why it's called take a retreat. Retreat from yourself. Go back into observation mode. Yeah, stay calm and just observe. So this time we really want to be passive and be in the observation mode, because this observation mode now really gives you the insight of where are you standing at this point of time in this life. When you are involved in doing, involved in activity, involved in creation, it's very hard to see where you're standing. And once again, and this is the way where we say both of these aspects we need. To learn and really be able to observe yourself, but at the same time, when you have set yourself a goal, when you set yourself a mission, to have the vitality, to have the power, to have the mindset, to have the determination, yeah, to have the willpower, just as we know them from the Shaolin warrior monks today. And it's not just in our tradition where I am coming from right now. These were the idols that I grew up with. But maybe if you would talk to another person which maybe has his descendants coming from Japan, maybe he would take the Japanese samurai as an example of the warrior codex. Maybe you go to the United States, I don't know, maybe over there you can take the Navy SEALs as an elite special force, which is also expressing a very powerful mindset in many different ways. So different cultural traditions had different idols different type of powerful spirits that you can look up to. And from where I come from, these were the warrior monks.
How do you keep the balance between the powerful side and then the sort of self-awareness side? How do you work on the balance of both?
Yes. When it comes to such a word like balance, how do you know that you need to do something? Or when it comes to such a word like a balance, it's not that you know from the mind that you do something about it. It is because you can feel that something needs to be done. It's like if you try one day, maybe when you have a child, and try to explain to him how to ride the bicycle. You can tell him, in order to ride the bicycle, you need to learn to be perfectly in balance. So the left side of your body and the right side, there must be 50-50 of weight distribution. Front side, back side, 50-50. It doesn't matter how long we're going to explain it to the child. You know that the child understood what balance is in the moment where he can ride the bicycle. Because then you know he just discovered something. Now he has it. And the same is like now for us. So that means now it's not the bicycle that we are riding. Now it is your life. It is your life. It is the things that right now are happening in your life. It is the amount of how many bad messages, let's say, are you receiving at the moment. Yeah? How is your sleep at the moment? How is your appetite at the moment? How is your general mood at the moment? All of this right now together, this is where you start to get a feeling for it. You feel this is my life. This is how my life feels at the moment. And when you now feel that something is not correct there, then you balance it out. And the easy way to just balance out, this is what we describe as there is an observation part and there's an active part. For many people, I think to start with those two levels of balancing would already be enough. That simply means maybe you're too active in some parts and maybe you're too passive in other parts. Yeah? Why does my relationship at the moment doesn't feel good? Why is it going downwards somehow? Why do I have the feeling I'm about to lose my relationship? Maybe because there was too much, you were too passive. Maybe this is one of the reasons. There is too much passivity in the relationship. That means you maybe actively need to invest some energy again in creating something that you want to have. So it's always sometimes we need to balance out. Ultimately, it is your lifetime that you're balancing out. Because it is the time that we spend. This is what we have. It's just the time. So no matter in what you are investing it, every one of us has 24 hours that we can work with. And that was it.
So I've heard you speak about before harmony, which I guess goes with balance, but living in harmony. How do you start to aim towards living in harmony?
Let me show you. Like there's a very nice example, and we used to say in our tradition, for example, if something appears in your lifetime that you like, you see something that you like, or you hear something that you like. So something comes there into your lifetime and you like it. Then we say, don't pull. Don't pull. If something appears in your lifetime that you don't like, that means that you would normally reject. There we say, don't push. And where does it come from? And in this example, it means now, this one for example. If I start to pull it towards me, so I like it, that's why I want to keep it as good as I can, and I want to bring it even closer to me than it really is. Then what is going to happen is one day, when the time comes, whatever you try to pull towards you, it's simply going to move even away from you. At the same time, something comes and you rejected it right from the beginning. It's just a question of time until whatever you push away from you starts to move very close to you. And now, how come that we say this is going to happen? Because you just need to watch around you from the moment that we are born. From the moment that we are born, your amount of inhalation and exhalation is exactly 50-50. The amount of days and the amount of nights until right now, it's 50-50. Yeah, so that means it looks like this nice wave function, this wave form. And in many different traditions, it's a simple expression that we say, nothing stays the way how it is. Success never stays success, because success is based upon failure. A healthy person never will stay only healthy. He is healthy because sickness exists. A rich man never stays rich forever. He's only rich right now because poorness also exists. And now the question is like this. If you realize this for yourself and you see that yes, somehow right now it's really good, my business is going good, my health, I'm really fine, everything is great. But then you also realize, yes, but now I'm at this one. Now I feel like now I'm about to lose a lot of things, now it's not working good, I don't know what's wrong. So then you invest again energy and push yourself up. And you realize, I have the skills, I have the knowledge, I know how to do it, that's why it's working. But no matter how hard I try, again it starts to descend. It's like it's not in my hands anymore. And then for us the question is simply like this. After you are observing this type of structure of life, often enough, maybe one day we're gonna ask ourselves, there must be another way of handling and walking through this lifetime without always being caught inside these up and downs of life. Yes, and this is how I would at the moment express what that whole expression and idea is about: harmony, about balance, about stability, about unity. It means that you are already placing your attention feel into your life right now. Feel inside how you feel about your life right now. And now everything that you are doing, try to make it in such a way that your feelings on the inside do not have huge fluctuations. Yeah? So that means somebody gives you a present, and normally before you would be very, very euphoric. So you had this great happiness rising. Practice a little bit, don't let it rise too quick. So somebody give you a present, you can be still very, very thankful you are. But your emotional state is not rising. Yeah? At the same time, before, somebody maybe from your team, he told you, oh, I'm sorry, but this one project I tried, it didn't work out, so no results there. And normally maybe before we would be angry and would be sad about it and would say, oh, what the hell, yeah? But this time it's just like, even with this bad message inside of you, don't let it drop. It doesn't drop. It remains. Yeah? And in a way that means this is just the first beginning to learn and control yourself. That you are not following these fluctuations of lifetime. It doesn't mean you cannot. At every time you can still decide, but now I want to be happy. Now I want to have this expressive feeling. This is not a problem. But only after you have learned that you can also remain in a stable state. Because what is the advantage of this stable state? You know what you can build your life upon. No matter if you are going to be rich in this lifetime, you don't lose yourself. Yeah? If somebody insulting you very, 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 very much, you know you are never going to lose yourself.
On a road near Washington, D.C., 1900 hours. General Bandwell speaks to the famous missile expert, his fellow passenger, Dr. Vane.
Doctor, I won't be happy until we get these plans returned to the Pentagon vaults. It's a grave responsibility, but thank heaven we're almost there.
There is that one person in this lifetime that that person cannot be raised more than he is, and he cannot be lower more than he is, because he has always been stable. No matter how many compliments you give him, he will always remain stable. He won't raise up. No matter how much you insult him, you cannot insult him, because you cannot get him down, because he is always remaining in a stable state. He's unshakable. And this is in a way maybe
yeah. Yeah, so perfect. I think it goes back to what you were saying about foundation and having a foundation and feeling solid, and especially with what's gone on this last few couple years essential to have that balance and harmony and feel like you've got a solid base to build from. One of the things, so in my world, people talk about like striving for success, and when we talk about like wealth, and is there anything against that? Like in Shaolin practices, is there anything against pushing towards goals in that sort of way?
So absolutely not. Yeah, it is absolutely and 100% compatible when it comes to striving for something. It's just that during the time things are going to change. Nobody in the Shaolin temple, not from the Shaolin temple in China and not from the Shaolin temple here and not in any other martial art aspect, has ever came out a very highly skilled master or grandmaster or teacher or instructor who did not somewhere in his mind had the willpower to strive for a better version of himself. Yeah? Those skills did not come from sitting and dreaming about having them. They came because you could see yourself evolving to a better version, and that's why you took the initiative and pursued that goal. And if this better version of yourself now involves physical skills, or if it involves mental skills, or if that if that additional benefit means financial wealth, at the end, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's always worthwhile to strive for something that you regard as important for your life. But now comes the point. We are regarding these things as important for our life. But now you ask yourself the question, what is going to happen when a martial art practitioner, you from the Shaolin temple, now you are still physically active. Now you can still perform a lot of different things. You can still express everything that you have attained through all this hardship and the training. But you're also getting old. So maybe in 5-10 years you can't do all of this anymore. So how are you going to feel about it? If I would have not stopped, or if I would have not paid close attention already, to not rely my being only on this physical abilities, it would probably be really hard. It would be really hard to realize that others, they are younger, others, they are having more time for training even. So it's impossible to rely my being on something that I have attained. Something that you have attained, you are going to lose. Attainment is there because you can lose it. But attainment also means it's not you. You are the one who can attain things. That's why don't identify yourself with the attainment. Don't identify yourself as rich. You can be rich, but you are not richness. Because richness will leave you one day. But if I can be rich, I can be rich. But if this richness one day leaves, well, then it left, but I am still me. That's the difference. I can be a successful person, but I am not success. Because if you are success, you're gonna lose it. Yeah? And so this is it's just a small mental switch, I would say, that makes the difference. Yeah? It is absolutely irrelevant, and it's 100% compatible if somebody decides he wants to have and live a very expressive way of life nowadays in the 21st century. That is the freedom that you have right now. That is the purpose why we all are able to live a life, to find a way. How do you want to express yourself in this world? And in the best case, what type of spirit, what type of expression can you contribute to that zeitgeist, to that conscious spirit at the moment? Not all the 8 billion people right now on the world need to have the same spirit. But the more people are there that are causing chaos, the more spirit of structure and stability and order must also exist in the same time frame. We don't have to be everybody the same. But because there are people that are based upon injustice, you need to be people that are righteous. And the question for every single one is simply, what type of contribution are you willing to give to that spirit?
I just wanted to finish with this as well.
Seven Rim. Hey yo, it's like this. Hey yo, I alter my perception. Students gone the farthest. Consultations with the automatic writing manga artist. Woke up, ain't know where the fuck I was. Got confused, nightmare at the Yokohama Film Fest. The monster's loose, perform miracles, but after can't describe how. A zigzag demon cat to scratch a third eye out. Scorpio, ninth house, night out. Scribbling verse inside the calm mansion hideout. The menacing looking clock ticks, pure horror. The camera zooms, manic youth. My 2 cents, he's too bent to answer you. Vampire nurses playing hockey in my cul-de-sac. Backs up off me if you ain't want these 2 dusty coats to blast. Illest on some modern day rap messiah shit. Wonderland somersaulting Alice type nihilist. I'm creating paradoxic cubes in my palm new. When you live inside a dream, you could do whatever you want to. Free to love, free to kill, free to rabid, involuntary laughter, jerking movements, he collapses. His eyes roll back, he's put under the control of a mystic force. Say calm down, it's too late, what you trying to resist it for? Twist and morph into a very uncharacteristic form. My rap career's nothing but one long trip report. Sociopathic teen involved in all out Yakuza wars. Screwdriver stabbed that sailor uniform.
Hardship is never easy. So I can say it like this. When it comes to the pure practice of the martial arts, so the Kung Fu training, there is an expression which is sometimes called, if you make this education to a Shaolin master, to a Kung Fu master, you are normally walking through the valley of pain. Yeah, this is how it's expressed. Because it involves a lot of physical conditioning, a lot of physical challenges that you need to cross. That means it happens in the stretching, it happens when you are just building up your stamina, it happens when your body starts to grow, it happens in every single aspect that you need to challenge your body and you need to challenge especially the mind. So this is the one side of it. But by far more difficult is really to decide how committed are you to really do something about your life. Because meanwhile we have so many different methods, not just now from the Shaolin Temple. If you just go on YouTube and look for, let's say, motivational videos, ways to improve your life, ways to create balance, how to create the perfect lifestyle, doesn't matter what. It's not knowledge which is the problem. It's not inspiration which is the problem. The problem is that after you have all this information, how are you going to transform it? How are you going to integrate it into your 24-hour day? And in my case, it means, for example,
for 15 years now, we have lived here. Before that time, I was a pet of my master Yoshi, mimicking his movements from my cage and learning the secret art of ninja. When we were forced to come to New York, I found myself for the first time without a home.
In the recent 1 year or 2 years, I have to say that I have been really focusing and trying to share as much knowledge from the Shaolin arts and from the Shaolin Temple as possible within the last 2 years. Yeah, it actually started, for example, with that one TEDx talk. Now I can tell you, it was not a coincidence that I accepted this TEDx talk. I could see how things were going to evolve. I knew what type of network that one single video would bring. And therefore I decided that right now I think it's a really good way of sharing something that I think is important. But now at the same time, in the moment where I try to speak and try to share to a wide audience, then it also means I need to somehow try and figure out and get the feeling who is my audience that I am speaking to. If I don't have a feeling for them, it might be that I'm trying to communicate something, but that message is never going to arrive, because we are simply speaking on different levels. And there is a price, and in the moment where you are making this type of public work and where you are trying to consider as many people as possible in this world, there is a price that you pay for it. And this price simply means that you do not have privacy, that you do not have the ability to have a partnership. Why? It's not because you don't want a partnership, it is because your energy is impossible to be spread between a single person and 8 billion people. You simply cannot. And this is the reason why people that come here to the monastery, it is their decision that at the moment I do not want any type of relationship, I do not want any partnership, I do not want to have social interaction in terms of going out with friends, going out for parties and all of this. Why? Because all the energy that I have First of all, I want to invest in myself, that I understand myself better. And once I understand myself better, I want to use this knowledge and share it with the people around. And the main idea is, but why do you take yourself first? Isn't this somehow egoistic, or isn't this selfish? The perspective that I can just share is like this. If I cannot solve my own issues and my own problems, I don't believe I can solve yours.
Canister nearby. I gathered them up in an old coffee can, and when I awoke the next morning, I received a shock, for they had doubled in size. I too was growing, particularly in intellect, and I was amazed at how intelligent they seemed, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened next.
Because I don't know how your problems feel. I need to know how it feels in order to know how I solve it. But in order to know how I solve your problem, I need to have or had that feeling in me before that already. It is necessary for me to have it first. And then now I figure out, okay, how did I get rid of it? How did I do it? Then it's gone for me. And now somebody comes and says he has the same problem. Because I can feel him. This is why I can help him. Yeah? And that's the point why we say it starts with your abilities. Yeah? It starts, be responsible for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Feel yourself the thankfulness about this life, the thankfulness towards your parents. Yeah? You need to feel it first. And when you feel it, then you can make other people around you feel it. Because you know what type of feeling it is that you want to transmit to them. And this is what life is about. It's the transmission of feeling. And this feeling is separated from the way how things look on the outside.
Some people don't believe.
Somebody can ride the bicycle and he has that feeling.
Perhaps you're one of
Somebody can lay on the beach and he has that feeling. Somebody can practice the martial arts and he has the feeling. Somebody can just film his video and make his footage and he has this feeling. It's not on the outside how it looks that what is important, what is the value of all of this. It is the feeling which is underlying all of this.
Believe in ghosts and the supernatural. Perhaps you're one of the unbelievers.
It is the feeling which is underlying all of this. And that's the only thing that amongst 8 billion people, what would be able to have in common a feeling, never the way how we live our life.
Some people don't believe in ghosts and the supernatural.
But I don't want to take too much of your time. Where can you have a very good YouTube channel? So where would people find that? What would people search for to find your YouTube?
I think you can either just look for Shaolin Temple Europe, which is the website of our monastery where I'm located.